All right, mates, welcome back. I want to take a few minutes here and talk about a recent pour done. I've got a old school, and I mean this is an old mold. This is an old school frog for one of the guys fishing in the MLF series, one of the MLF divisions. Because we all know we're reaching that point where the frog bite is about to go down. Seeing the weather's been really crazy, especially in the Mid Atlantic. Um, but right now, a lot of that weather really directly impacted the rivers, but it's provided a little opportunity, I think, in a lot of the lakes. And we're going to see that coming up here. I think in the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to start to see places like Lake Anna, Little Seneca Lake in Maryland, probably hunting. And there's probably, just in that 100 mile, 80 to 100 mile radius around the nation's capital, where that frog bite in the early morning is just going to get triggered. Okay. The temperatures are getting back. It's 70s. It's 70s now, but a lot of the rivers have been washed out because of all the heavy rain, flooding. A lot of the ramps have been closed for the last 48 to really since Sunday, I guess, because of all that rain. That'll all the levels will come back down in the river. But really, reservoirs and all that kind of stuff is kind of where it's at this week. The lake is kind of where I'm going to hit up, waiting for the rivers to do their thing. I think the Potomac got as high as 18. It's back down to about anywhere from 9 to 7 in terms of levels in a lot of the stages and sections of the upper Potomac. So we're probably going to give it a couple more days. The smallmouth are going to be scattered. You'll be chasing them all day, just going to be scattered. They're not going to be able to settle back in. But your reservoirs, your impoundments, your lakes aren't really dealing with that. Okay, you've got some spawn happening in some places, in some parts of the lake, but not in other parts of the lake. You know how that goes as the water warms up, in different sections of the lake. But it's really cool to pour some custom frogs again, because it's something we've got again. It's something that is a I don't know how to say it politely, but it's like just a unique. A frog fisherman's a unique dude. That's all I could say. Someone who's consistently wanting to throw the frog. A lot of people have moved away from it. We've gone through this cycle of, I remember when the frog was like everybody was throwing frogs. And then we moved to other topwater. Then we moved to buzz baits, right? And then we moved to chatter baits, right? In terms of topwater, early morning, right? And it seems to come full around. I think, because they sit there, and a lot of people have them on the boat, and don't ever throw them, right? They just kind of sit there. So it was great to get that call. Great to be like, hey, look, can you do, and it be an old school frog. This frog and this mold, okay, and pattern has been around forever, okay. And then how you rig that up is really up to you and what your comfort zone is. But it's like the soft plastic frog is kind of like so yesteryear compared to Spro, all the frogs you can buy on the market that are just tie on and go, right? And then again to get it and be like watermelon red flake, right? Like standard, probably number 2 after black and blue or green pumpkin, 2 or 3, number 2 or 3 all time probably in purchasing, whether it be worms, anything soft plastic, right? It's probably watermelon red flake, right? And so those are the colors you could tweak around with custom pouring in the plastisol if you're a bait maker, and to tweak different little variations of watermelon red, okay? And you can increase and do sample sizes to sample test. And I have 4 different watermelon red flake discs, right, of recipes. So if someone could call me, or I could shoot them, or they could stop by, or they can, we meet up at the ramp or whatever, and I just take them the disc. I'm like, look, this is the color pattern, A, B, C, or D. What would you like in it? Would you like more red flake? Would you like red flake with a little bit of gold flake, red flake with a little silver flake? There's so many things you could do. I had one order for plastics. It was something I'd never done before, but it was watermelon red with purple and a little gold. Okay, so it was like, really, really crazy. And he sent me a video of it in the water, and just the color with the sun, everything in the water was just killer. And that's the beauty of custom bait making right there. Like, make your own, pour your own, hashtag pour your own, hashtag make your own tackle. Check that hashtag out, and you can see all the people that are making, different things out there. And there's so many things you can do. A mold is a mold. I mean, like, if someone, wants a 3.5-inch paddle tail swim bait, there's umpteen different molds to pick from in order to get that done. And then it's just all about color and size and preference and all that, and you just tweak that out, and then you get the feedback from the angler. And that's really the value that I think a lot of people miss. Kind of like the whole purpose of this channel, and the whole purpose of the bait making consortium, cooperative, of bringing bait makers, custom bait makers together, is they're a resource for you in terms of your feedback, in terms of where are you going to get your feedback. If you buy something on a big box store aisle, where do you go after that, right? No one's holding your hand. No one's there to really support you, right? Like, you're a point of sale customer, right? Berkeley, Strike King, Mage Z-Man, major manufacturers all have quality baits, but they don't really have the mechanisms in place to really support, their point of sale consumer, right? They're making baits. That's their job. They leave their pro staffs and all that out there to interact with the public, and all that, to educate the public and those kinds of things. But if an angler takes a specific frog bait, for example, Senko, you name it, crawl, trailer, anything poured, feedback. They can give you direct feedback as a custom bait maker, and they can ask you or have you tweak whatever their preference is solely for them and their presentation methods, and you can do turnaround time just like that and make it happen. Or they can immediately call you for additional color patterns of the same particular bait mold that they know that you have, based on a different tournament location, for example, or a trip they're going to, for example, that may be different. They may be going to Florida and they want more black and blues, Okeechobee crawl. They want that kind of stuff, as opposed to maybe they live in the Northeast and they really don't throw that much. And so that's the value of the relationship with a custom bait maker. It doesn't matter who that custom bait maker is. Someone who specializes in crankbaits, someone who specializes in swim baits or glide baits or soft plastics or jigs, hand tied, flies, all that stuff they're valuable. It's valuable resources, for you to tap into, because a lot of times custom bait makers know what a lot of their clients are throwing and where they're throwing it, and so they kind of know when something comes down the pipe. They can also reach out to you and be like, "Hey, listen, we just got a new mold in. Hey, do you want a half dozen to try out? Give me some feedback on the mold. I'll shoot them to you. Take it out. Just give me feedback. Let me know what you think. We're going to tweak around with a little bit. Boom. And that's what the relationship really is. And that's what custom bait making is really about. It's really about something that the bigger box manufacturers don't have, other than with their pro staff, maybe. They don't really have a personal relationship with their customer. Their customer can't just pick up the phone because they're a customer, right? They're not a client, okay? Their relationship is a totally different relationship. It's not perceived the same way. When you're doing something, the biggest thing that most people miss about custom bait makers and why they're so passionate about what they do is because you're really not buying the product as much as you're buying the custom bait maker's time. Because the time for him he's giving you his time, his or her time, because he's taking the time to paint that crankbait of yours that you sent him. He's taking that time to pour you a frog, get the color right. And yeah, you're buying a product, okay, a bait, and ultimately, but the bigger deal is you're really buying his time or her time. And that's how they see it. Is they're going to put the time in to get you what you want, as opposed to you going to a big box aisle and having to pick and choose amongst so many things that in a lot of times you may settle on something, right? Or you heard someone else is throwing it, so you're buying into someone else's narrative or someone else's presentation method, instead of really like dialing in you, what your strengths, what's your confidence, what's your presentation that you know you're going to go to every time, and then aligning it up with a custom bait maker to fill that for you, to make you more effective on the water. All right, mates.